3, 2, go.
All right, so this is something called a comparison example. And really what it's designed to do is obviously compare what happens when somebody buys a vehicle on this side here. And I'm going to compare it to what happens when somebody leases a vehicle so customers can see the numbers both ways. A lot of our customers, when they come in, really the best way to understand the leasing is to compare it to financing. That's what most people are kind of familiar with. So what I like about this is that it kind of shows numbers both ways. So first thing I want to do real quick here is kind of bring our customers down memory lane and show them what typically happens when they buy a car. So in this example here, I got a $35,000 vehicle. And a lot of people, when they come in to buy a car, they have some kind of money down, whether it's cash, trade equity, rebates. Some of the other things we've seen over the last few years are credit card points that people can build up when they buy a car now. So in this example here, I got a $7,000 down payment. I take that off the 35, gives us a balance of $28,000. Now, typically the first place you spend a little bit of money when you buy a car and you finance it is on sales tax. So typically what happens when you buy a car, you tax on $35,000, tax on that at 5.5% be $1,925. Add that to the balance of 28, gives us a balance of $29,925. Pretty simple so far, right? Okay. So the next kind of box here talks about finance term history. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I'm in the mid-40s. I wasn't around in the 50s and 60s, but what history has taught us is as body styles change, as price of vehicles have gone up, we've seen lenders going up longer and longer on the terms. Now in the 50s, people pay cash for the vehicles. They financed them every year or two. They traded out because body styles were changing quite a bit. In the 60s, vehicles got a little bit more expensive, but quite honestly, in the 60s, when you went to get a car note, that was when the lenders really started to realize that people have negative equity, they're upside down. So what happens when you went to get a car note, you had to have 20% down. There's no such thing as no money down. Now in the 70s, vehicles got a little bit more expensive, but quite honestly, in the 70s, the biggest change was there's more families that had dual income families, so more homes had 2 vehicles versus just the 1. So in the 70s, it went up to 48 months. Now in the 80s, it went up to 5 years. Now to be fair, we've talked about this quite often over the last few years, but up until probably maybe a decade ago or so, 60 months, 66 month financing pretty common. Then it went to 72, and just I guess the last month and a half here, we've been advertising with Kia anyway, 2.9% for 84 months. Now, I'm not a big advocate of people going longer term, but with the warranties that are available, sometimes it's a viable option. Anyway, cut it, the more money down, the better. The shorter term, the better, because you want to avoid all those interest charges. So if we do the math here, we take $29,925, finance it on a 5-year note, payments will fall right around $607 a month. Now, would you agree with us? The best time typically of a lot of our customers will tell us, the best time of a brand new vehicle's life is usually say between 0 and maybe 30,000 miles, right? Yes. Gas, you change the oil, you rotate the tires, it's hassle-free driving. We call that the honeymoon stage, okay? When you get into the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th year of ownership, that's usually when you start to experience some basic maintenance on the vehicle. Now, if you do the math on this, if you take 607, I'm going to show you a 2-year lease here in a second. When you take the math of 607, multiply it by 2 years, it means this person here would spend $14,568 in monthly payments in the vehicle so far. So what typically happens when people get into that 3rd, 4th, or 5th year of ownership, that's usually when they want to come back in, and now they want to consider maybe trading out. So let's look at this here a little bit. So typically in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th year, the top 2 things that most people typically get into are tires and brakes. Now I drive a little bit more myself, because I drive 15, 20,000 miles a year. I get into this a little bit sooner than what some people do. But you got basic stuff you have to tend to: shocks, filters, batteries, belts, hoses, flushes, alignments, exhaust, that laundry list of maintenance that comes up on a car. But what happens for a lot of people is that when they start getting into some of this kind of stuff, they start saying, okay, time out. Do I want to put all this money into the car, or maybe I should go hook up those guys back at Dorsch again, maybe I should look at trading out of the car. So they come in to trade out of it, we get a hold of the lender, find out what they owe on it. In this example here, this person will still have a balance of $21,852, give or take a little bit for interest. And what happens for a lot of people is because they didn't put that money down, or they went longer term. Instead of doing a 66-month term, they did a 72 or an 84-month term. A lot of times what happens is when we call the lender to find out what they owe on it, and then we get the vehicle price and find out what the vehicle's worth, a lot of times they have some negative equity. What I mean by that is the vehicle's worth less than what they owe on it. So what do? Well, either the customer's got to come up with money down to offset that, or we have to roll that into something else, but then tell you what, on top of it, the price of vehicles keep going up. So it's kind of a vicious circle here. So doing the math, they come in to trade out of it, we see all this negative equity, I'll say, well, geez, I'm gonna lose a bunch of money in the car. Well, maybe I should just keep driving the vehicle. I don't want to lose a bunch of money. So they keep driving the vehicle's finally paid off after 6, 7, 8 years. There's been 3 or 4 different body style changes. Now when they come in and trade out of it, they can get jack in a trade-in. Vehicle's outdated, vehicle doesn't get the fuel economy, doesn't have the technology, that kind of stuff. So that's where the lenders come out and say, well, there's got to be a better way to do this. Let's look at the lease program. So doing the math, same thing. Same selling price, same down payment, same balance. Nothing changes on a lease. The first place though that's just a little bit different when you lease a vehicle, at least in the state of Wisconsin, is on tax. So what happens here in the state of Wisconsin is you're only taxed on the down payment and then the monthly payment, not the selling price of the car. So if you don't put any money down, let's say you'll go pick out a new vehicle today, you want to lease a vehicle, if you don't put any money down, there's no sales tax. But if you use the rebates as money down, well then we're taxing the rebates. So in this example, you were taxed on $7,000, which would be $385. Do the math on this, add it all, it comes to $28,385 versus $29,925. Now to keep it really simple, okay, how does a lease work? What the lender does is they try to determine what the value of this vehicle is going to be 2-3 years down the road based on average miles and average condition. So in this example, they think this vehicle is worth $18,009. All they're doing is they're going to take this here, we're going to subtract it from the selling price, or we're going to pay the difference. That's it. So in this example here, you got a payment of $534. Again, we're taxing the monthly payment, we're taxing the money as you spend it. Tax the monthly payment would be $563 versus $607. Not that it's a huge savings, but it adds up. You look at do the math on that, that's about $44 a month, and over the course of 2 years, that's $1,056. Now that's not the best part. Yeah, it's less money down, yeah, it's lower monthly payments, yeah, you save some money in taxes, but the best part of the lease is at the end of the term, because now you've paid a contract, and now you have all kinds of options to kind of toy over. Option number 1 says to buy, trade, or sell, the joy of you or keep the profit. What that means for you is if the vehicle would be worth anything more than the $18,009 at lease end, that would be our customer's money. You can take that, you can use it as down payment on your next vehicle, you can go on vacation, you can take me out for lunch. I like sushi, by the way. Okay. But that's extra money that you have for other things. Now to be fair, that doesn't happen too often. There's a lot of things that will affect a vehicle's value. Gas prices, economic conditions, interest rates, body style changes, wrong color, wrong equipment, wrong time of year. All these things will affect a vehicle's value. But that's where option number 2 comes into play. Option number 2 states, it says, what if market conditions change? Let's say the vehicle is not worth the $18,009 at the end of the term. Not your problem. You turn the keys and you walk away. You got nothing, but you don't own a bunch of negative equity. Or if you would have bought the vehicle and finance it, let's say the vehicle is only worth $18,000 over here. You have to take that negative equity and roll it into something. Over here, you turn the keys and you walk away. And of course, that last option, we call this the love option. But in theory, who better to buy a used vehicle from than yourself? I mean, let's paint a picture. It's a one-owner vehicle. It's lower miles. You bought it brand new. You serviced it brand new. You know the history of the vehicle. You're not finding somebody else's problems. You can pick it up with the $18,009 at the end of the term, which is still less than what would have been over here. So after seeing these numbers here, guys, which one makes more sense to you?
Lease.
There we go.